In some cases, they're taken from another country and they have nowhere to go back to. They think that they're going to be arrested for what they've done. They think they're criminals. They feel like they are responsible for what's happening to them. It's that victim thinking that it's their fault. So if you can imagine a 14-year-old girl in a room with a bed and a line of 15, 16, 17 men, one after another, doing whatever it is that they just paid to do. And at the end of the night, as the sun is coming up and the rest of us are going off to work, she's going to go to sleep after maybe eating, maybe taking a shower, and then she's going to wake up and start the whole process again. That's her life. And if she gets pregnant, it's even more money to have sex with a pregnant 14-year-old. And it's even more money to have unprotected sex with a 14-year-old pregnant girl. It's disgusting. It's unbelievable what happens to their bodies.
What can our viewers do?
The biggest thing is that we think it's somebody else's problem. It's happening somewhere else, and it's not. It's happening in communities right here, not just in Southern Nevada, but in California, all around this region. And I don't know how many times the neighbors were looking the other way, or they were afraid to get involved, or they didn't want to put their own family in jeopardy. We have to take a risk. Even as an anonymous tip, somebody has to tell. Somebody has to call the police or the FBI or the child abuse hotline and say, I think something's really wrong. This is what I see. Just at a minimum, tell somebody. They don't have a voice. They don't have access to a phone. They can't make it stop. It's up to us. It's a multi-billion-dollar business, bigger than guns, bigger than drugs, bigger.
I noticed that you had a number of causes that you had spoken about, that you were on the board of. You know, I can show you, but you wrote the resume. If there were one or two that were closest to your heart, which would they be?
I would say that the St. Therese Center,
What do they do there?
they are assisting those that are infected or affected with HIV and AIDS here in Southern Nevada. It is it's that compassionate service when it feels like the world has dropped out underneath you from a medical diagnosis that you will live with and die with. And the family members who are going to forever be impacted, even if they don't have the disease themselves, it changes their life immediately. And while there are other HIV organizations in our community and other communities, it's so close to my heart because it's a faith-based approach to service. So it's not only making sure that everybody in the family is fed, that they have access to medicine, that they have clothing and all the things that they need. It's also the spiritual support to help them get through how they're feeling, what they're afraid of, and what's going to happen next. And I think that there's so much misunderstanding about what's possible in a faith life that this just obliterates all of those judgments and prejudices and makes it just face-to-face. The clergy and the laity walking the journey with people that are living with or have already said goodbye to somebody in their family with HIV or AIDS. So I had the opportunity to ask for the organization to come to our community back in the 90s, and it's an amazing pleasure now, all these years later, to know that 4,000 people a month are getting served through the St. Therese Center.
Do you have a particular spiritual practice other than public worship services? And if so, what is it?
For a long time, I've started and ended my day in prayer. The Liturgy of the Hours, prayers, of course, practiced around the world by other Catholics, but preparing me for the journey of the day. In this work, you have no idea what the day is going to bring, who's going to walk in the door, or what we're going to be called to work on. We can say we provide food and shelter, but it's to whom and what happened to them before they walked in the door that becomes the real work. And so every day, offering the day that the best that there is, I could be a part of that I would have wisdom to do the job well, to be compassionate, to not rush through just because there's another family walking in the door behind them. And at the end of the day, counting the amazing blessings and acknowledging that there were failures and what the plans are for the next opportunity to learn from the lessons of today.
One of our viewers either didn't grow up with a spiritual practice or any faith-based group, or they were traumatized by it. And they're walking around with a hard shell of resentment. If you say to them, read John 3:16, they're just going to dismiss you out of hand. But they hear about people talking about spirituality or a higher power, and they've seen people like you who clearly have spirit in their life, and it's an attractive thing, but they're still very scared because their grandfather beat them so many times because they didn't do it right, or whatever. So, is there an entry-level, non-threatening spiritual practice that you can suggest to someone like that?
Well, I can start by saying I get what they're afraid of. I didn't grow up in a happy home either, and there wasn't a spiritual practice, and if there was, it was fake and propped and empty of any meaning. Holidays were probably the worst possible day to be connected to anything with the life of faith. So coming from that kind of childhood, what I would say is one word: forgive, or trust, or try. And you have nothing to lose. If you've already survived all of these other things that are making you the way that you are now, you have nothing to lose. To look at an opportunity for service, to look at an opportunity for a connection to spirituality, and risk it with one word, a one-word prayer, just between you and our Creator. Nobody has to be there. It doesn't have to be formal.
Do you want to suggest a word?
Help.
Help me.
Just help me. Help me. Or help them. Maybe it isn't even for you and it's for something that you see. Or what we've been talking about with human trafficking. Watch the prayer get answered.
Let's pretend for a moment that all 7 billion of us are going to watch this video.
Oh my.
What would you say to us?
I never imagined the journey that I've been on being the way that it is. And the blessings of helping the numbers of residents and people that didn't even want to come into shelter, and people from all around our community. The blessing it's immeasurable, and you should try. You have no idea what you're missing.
If I could give you any superpower, either one you've heard of, or one like X-ray vision, ability to fly, invisibility, bending steel with your bare hands, or one that you make up right now on the spot, What superpower would you request of me?
Well, you know that new X-ray machine at the airports where it can see more than, your outline? If we could see the injury that happened to people and help them heal faster, that would be amazing.
Well, that's why you want to see, so that you can apply the medicine in the right place.
That's right.
Because right now you don't know where to apply it.
That's right.
Because I might be lying about it or whatever.
Or too afraid to trust me and tell me exactly what's happened.
What's your favorite movie?
That changes, but most recently it's Machine Gun Preacher.
Okay.
It's brand new. A lot of people haven't seen it. It's about a guy who has a really horrible background of addiction and crime, and after finding his way to the Lord, he goes to Africa and he sees the need and takes action. And now he has orphanages in 3 different countries in Africa where he's helping the children that have been pulled into war, have lost their parents, and is not only meeting their needs today, but all the way through college.
What's your favorite book?
A Year by the Sea, and it's about backing up and taking stock of where you are and making a plan for moving forward. And I think it's probably a mix between fiction and maybe the names were changed to make it. It would probably be nonfiction if they hadn't changed the names and circumstances.
Who are your heroes?
First, Nelson Mandela. Imagine facing insurmountable odds, and 25 years later, having the opportunity to come out of jail because of what I believe and see the work still ahead and to go right back into the work. To not have his spirit broken, to not let them take away his voice. It's just, he's incredible.
How can we as a society encourage more people to be servant leaders like you and the other people I've been interviewing?
We have to start where we are with what we have. It's not a matter of preparing. It's not a matter of turning the calendar and there's the magical day to start. It's whether it's taking the clothes that you're not wearing anymore and driving them down so that somebody else can use them, or going with a friend to feed somebody who's hungry. Whatever it is, go and read to a child. Whatever talent, whatever strength, whatever ability you have, start using it today. We're such a people of getting ready. We think that we have to be certified or credentialed or educated only in order to be of service. But children are of service and teenagers are of service. All of us just start where we are and get involved somehow with what the needs are around you that you care about. Not my journey, not my interests, your interests. Something's going to spark you and go get involved. Even if it's only once a year, see what happens.
What is there about your religion, your politics, your philosophy, service that I've neglected to ask you that bears mentioning at this juncture?
I think it might be philosophically. We all have choices to make. And when I realized that kids who are raised the way that I was were more likely to become exactly the kind of parent I didn't want to be and harming my children in ways I never wanted to harm them, it's at that place that you make a decision about your future. And